One of the most frequently asked questions that I receive is, Zaahida, how do I help a loved one who is in difficulty? And my answer usually is, learn to practice compassionate listening. Now, what is compassionate listening, you may ask? Well, we're going to get into that today in this video, but let's start with what compassionate listening is not. Number one, trying to one-up the person. Oh, you think you have it bad? Oh my gosh, you should hear what happened to me. Now, you may think that sharing your difficult experiences with someone and trying to show them how much worse it was for you is going to help them, but actually it doesn't. Hearing about somebody else's difficulty is not going to make it any easier to deal with your own. There's no competition when it comes to pain. What's difficult for me may not be difficult for you, and vice versa. We all experience differently and we find different things challenging. So trying to make comparisons or trying to make the other person feel better that they don't have your issue doesn't really help them or make them feel better. Number two, shaming or judging the person.
How could you let that happen? You should have known better. Come on.
Now, I would think the reason for this being unhelpful to your loved one is obvious, but sometimes we don't realize that we judge and shame other people for the way that they're feeling in the moment. And we think that that's going to help them out. But what we really do is that we start imposing our insecurities and our fears onto them. And now they not only have to deal with what they're currently struggling with, but they also have to deal with our judgment of them. And that will probably make them withdraw and close up in themselves and stop opening up to you, which is not going to help them out. Number three, invalidating or dismissing their feelings.
Come on, it can't be that bad. You're just exaggerating. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Get over it.
Once again, pain is experienced differently for different people. What might be difficult for you might be easy for someone else, and vice versa. When we dismiss how a loved one feels, we further alienate them because it's another way of shaming and judging them for how they're feeling. They feel what they feel. And it's important for us to honor this. We can help them through it, but in order to help them through it, we need to be present with them and allow them to feel what they need to feel. Number four, making their difficulty about you.
Oh no, I feel so awful now that I know what you're going through. I don't even know how I'm going to sleep tonight. Oh, I feel awful.
This is quite unhelpful to your loved one. Now, they're dealing with their own emotional baggage. They're dealing with their own issues. On top of that, they now have to deal with the fact that you feel terrible and they have to try and placate you and make you feel better. How is this helpful to them? Clearly, it's not. Now, we are all well-meaning and well-intentioned with our loved ones when we are trying to soothe them. But we don't realize that sometimes we do some of these things that is anything but compassionate listening. And we do things that actually make it worse for them and make them withdraw and just make them feel further alienated and alone in their situation. Compassionate listening is about being present with your loved one and listening with an open heart, being present with them and allowing them to feel and process whichever emotions that they need to. It's not about telling them what to do or trying to fix them, and it's definitely not about judging them or reprimanding them when they are already feeling at their lowest. Sometimes we feel like when our loved ones are in difficulty, we need the perfect words, we need the right words and the right advice to give them. And a lot of times we may be at a loss because we may not know how they actually could be able to solve their issue. But just practicing compassionate listening where you're present with someone and you give them the space and allowance to feel what they need to feel without judgment, without shaming them, without reprimanding them, is a huge gift in itself. And don't underestimate the healing power of being present with someone whilst practicing compassionate listening. So you may ask, how do I become a compassionate listener? How do I learn to listen compassionately? And the answer is, the more you allow yourself to process your own emotions and to feel your own emotions and grow awareness around that and become more emotionally resilient or emotionally intelligent, the more able you are to be present with other people while they are experiencing their own emotions. And we call this process holding the space for someone. So the more we build our own emotional intelligence, the more able we are to practice compassionate listening.